I'm so glad you're here for a restorative yoga practice. We're gonna use a bunch of props, as is part of what we do in restorative yoga. So you'll need to have a bolster, or if you don't have a yoga bolster, if you have 2 bed pillows, you could do that, or maybe even 3 bed pillows, but just something firm that you can put under your back. Couch cushions also work quite nicely. You'll need 3 blankets at least, but you might want to grab a 4th in case you want to cover up your body. And we can actually organize those now and get them all folded up and ready. So take one of the blankets, this one blanket that you'd like to use for your head, and fold that over so you have a small rectangle. That looks like this. Doesn't have to be an official yoga blanket, and also you could substitute a small pillow for this blanket if you'd prefer. And then you'll need 2 more blankets that I'd like for you to roll up on the long edge. Beach towels also work quite nicely for this one. So roll up those blankets on the long side. You need 2 of those. And then you'll just have maybe an extra blanket that you'll be using to cover your body if you'd like. And then we're also going to make use of some blocks tonight. And so if you're using a yoga bolster, you'll need anywhere from 1 to 3 blocks. And if you're using pillows, I think you can probably get away with just 1 block, or if you have 3 pillows, that could work. When we get to the time when we need the blocks, I'll demonstrate everything for you, and then you can decide what shape is going to be best for you, what props you might want or need. I've also grabbed 2 small pillows just from an old chair because I like to have an extra support under my elbows in one of the back bending shapes that we're doing. So you might just want to grab some spare things as well. You know how I feel about this, all of the props at all of the times for restorative practice. And then you can go ahead and get yourself set up for a good seat. Could be cross-legged or kneeling, or any seat that allows you to have this moment to gather up and arrive. If you're in the DC area, DC metro area, maybe in the mid-Atlantic, we can broaden out to that. The weather today was gorgeous. It was just a beautiful spring day. There was like the perfect temperature. There was this breeze. There were some times where it was a little bit windy. But what was kind of crazy is that everything seemed beautiful, like the perfect temperature of the air, this gorgeous sunny blue sky. But it was almost like the pollen was raining down. Like on a walk this morning, I felt like the pollen was just like blowing up into my face. I think even if you don't normally suffer from allergies or any kind of sensitivity to pollen, you couldn't help but feel that there was something kind of clogging up your breath today. And so I thought that this would be a perfect day for us to do a restorative yoga practice that is intended to help you breathe more easily. Just wanted to also remind you, we're not intending to really stretch our bodies in this practice. I like it when we feel open. That's one of the things we're aiming for, right? We're trying to open up some space in the body, but it shouldn't ever feel like there's a stress or a strain. We're not trying to increase our flexibility. We're not trying to build strength in this practice. You know, I have a way to show you what I mean about this. So take your arms out like you're about to give someone a hug. Right? Nice. And then you would say like, okay, my arms are open, right? But then move your arms more towards the back plane of your body and lean forward a little bit. Yeah, your arms are still open, right? But now you've created some stretch, some effort. Go back to where you were going to give someone a hug. That's kind of what we're after in our restorative poses. Okay, lower your hands down to your lap. You can set your hands palms up, or if you like, you can put your palms down. Palms down is called the mudra of calm abiding. That feels pretty perfect. And then if you turn your palms up, that looks like your left fingers fit at the base of your right fingers, and you can pull your thumbs in like a little circle. And this one's called the cosmic mudra. So maybe you're feeling like you want to connect to something cosmic. This could be a good place to explore. Or if you feel a little agitated and you need some calm abiding, palms down is great. Close your eyes. It's amazing how when we close our eyes, we get to notice things that maybe we haven't really noticed, even though we've been awake. Take your attention to your breath. What's happening in your breathing here? Are you able to breathe evenly through both nostrils? Sometimes you might find that one side of your nose feels more open than the other. One side's easier to breathe in and out of. And then also notice where the breath moves clearly in the rest of your body. Do you feel the breath in the chest? Or can you feel it lower, like in your bottom ribs? Or sometimes you can get this sense that your whole body is breathing. Yoga puts great value on our relationship with the breath. It can be a tool for meditation. The quality of our breath can give us some clues about the level of energy that we have. In fact, the breath is intimately linked to the idea of a life force in this practice. And if we spend any time in a day like today with this high pollen count, the pollen swirling around, it's difficult to bring in enough breath. Our body has to work hard to filter out all of that stuff that doesn't serve us. On days like today, whether you have allergies or not, you might notice you feel a little sluggish or more tired than usual. Or sometimes you notice that you have a bit of an ache in your head, or that your throat feels a little scratchy. Just take a moment to notice whatever there is to notice here about your breath and about what the feeling of your breath might offer you in terms of an insight about your whole well-being. Even though the overarching theme of the practice today are some poses that will help you breathe more easily, there's room for an intention that resonates clearly and more specifically for you. Bring your palms together. Lift them in front of your heart. This gesture, Anjali Mudra. Mudra means like a seal, like the seal on an envelope. And here, as you join your hands, you can think about sealing up the intentions that you have for this practice into this gesture. However it is that you hope to feel by the time we finish, or the kinds of qualities you're cultivating or calling forth as we do this practice, set that as your intention here. When we sing together the sound of Om, we take the energy behind our individual intentions and put that energy into the sound. It gives us a way to connect ourselves to one another, but it's also an important way for us to connect to and honor the wisdom and the ritual and the traditions of yoga. I'd love for you to add your voice to mine to sing an Om. Or of course you could just listen. Exhale your breath all the way out. Inhale deeply. Release your hands into your lap. Keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. Okay. Our first restorative yoga posture is going to include very many of these props. The first thing that you'll need is to put your bolster or your pillows along the edge of your yoga mat. So take whatever it is that you're going to use for this sturdy support and place it so it's running parallel to the short end of your yoga mat. There should be a little bit of space to one side and a lot of space on the side where you're sitting. Then depending on how high this prop is will determine how high you'd like to prop your head. I know with the bolster that I need 2 blocks for under my head here. So maybe the reference point for you is that you'll need to have your head props a bit higher than whatever's gonna be supporting your ribs. And then add your head blanket on top of this setup so that you'll have something a little extra soft. I think I actually only need 1 layer here. There's definitely going to be some moment where you have to like negotiate and coordinate yourself against the props that you're using. You'll just need 1 of your rolled up blankets. You can bring that around in front of you. And then sit with the left side of your body next to the bolster. I'm going to mirror so that you could face me and do this practice and you'll be mirroring what I'm doing. So sit with your left hip right against the bolster, and there should be a gap here where you can place your arm. So you lower down to put your left arm into that space, and then set your head up on whatever level of proppage you need for your head. So I'd love to see that your head is a little bit higher than the rest of your body, but that your head is approximately in the same line as your torso. The rolled up blanket is for between your knees and your ankles. Then you might find that you need a little extra stuff, like if you're really noticing that the bottom shoulder is pressing heavily into the floor, you could add an extra blanket there. If you have a sensitive hip against the mat, you could put a blanket under your bottom hip. And then take your top arm and just rest it on your leg and roll back just a smidge. So ultimately, this posture is helping to open up some space in the side of your ribs, but it's also opening up a little bit of space across the front of your chest. Kind of less like a fetal positions pose and more like you're in the direction of rolling backward. Now, if this does not feel comfortable for your arm, I'm all about making it feel comfortable. So if you decide that you want to put your arm in a different position, I'd recommend taking something and propping it up on your bolster or whatever. Like here, I'm using that little small pillow, which could be an option for you if you need more support for your arm. Okay, once you found a good spot to land, close your eyes. Become aware of your breath once again. No need to push or force at the breath, though you might consider inviting that sense of whole body breathing. When you breathe in, can you feel the right side of your body has more space for the breath? And with every exhalation, see if there's something you could soften just a little bit more. Sometimes you just soften your face. You release that spot just between your eyebrows. Make space between your teeth. Practice releasing any of the holding that you've been doing in your body all day. As you relax, the props should feel like they're supporting you not collapsing or giving way under your body's rest. And you can continue to stay attention to breath. Or if it feels nice to let your mind be free, you can let your mind wander wherever it wants to go. Just remembering that the breath is available at any time as a landing place for your attention. We'll rest in the quiet of this pose for several minutes. attention back from wherever your mind might have been. Notice your breath. Notice the feeling of the props against your body. To come out of this pose, slide your right arm forward so that you can press it down more firmly into your bolster or onto the floor. And just roll in a little. Curl your chin in towards your chest. Maybe draw your knees in a little closer. Let your right arm start to drape forward so you can breathe a little bit into the back of your right side. And then use the support of your right hand. Push it against the floor or your props. And push your body up into a seated position. Close your eyes for a moment as you arrive in your seat. Feel the impact of the pose you just practiced. Do you notice a difference between the two sides of your body? And as you breathe here, do you notice a difference in the way the breath feels in the right side versus the left side? Keeping your gaze soft, blink open your eyes. You're welcome to keep your setup exactly as it is and just turn your body so that you can lie down on your right side, or if you'd like to switch the bolster or the blankets around so that you're facing the way that I'm facing, you're welcome to make that adjustment. Each side of the body is going to feel really different, so you might need to do a different setup for your props, maybe more blankets, maybe less head. You decide what you need here. As you're getting organized, place the right hip next to your bolster or your pillows or whatever you're using, and there's this gap of space where you place your right arm. Set up so that your head feels supported, not too high and not too low. And then position the rolled up blanket in between your ankles and your knees. Then take your left arm and rest it on your side. Try rolling back just a smidge, not a ton, but as you roll back a little, you're just creating some space in the front of the left side of your body for your breath. If you find that this arm is just not comfortable in this position, you could try piling up some things so that you can rest your arm more in front of you. But even if you move the left arm in front, could you still get this sense that your torso is rolling back a bit? Make any adjustments you might need. Find a way that you can feel open but comfortably supported. As you're feeling ready, close your eyes and come back to notice your breath. Sometimes the breath provides a kind of gathering together for our mind. That kind of gathering up, that kind of purposeful placement might feel useful to you. But sometimes, especially if you've had a day where you've used a lot of your brain power solving problems or focusing, it might feel like a kind of relief to have freedom for your mind to float and drift however it wants to go. Just remember, the breath is available for you as a landing place for your mind whenever that might serve you. We'll practice this side of our pose for some minutes in silence. gather up and bring back your attention from wherever your mind might have been. Notice your breath, the feeling of your body in this pose. To transition out of this posture, slide your left arm down in front of you and roll forward just a smidge. Tuck your chin in towards your chest, maybe even pull your knees in just a little bit tighter. But position your left hand against your bolster or even against the floor. And then press down into your left hand to guide your body up into a seated position. Close your eyes as you get into your seat. Notice the two sides of your body. Anything that might feel different from one side to the other. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. The next pose, Supta Baddha Konasana, is everyone's favorite restorative yoga pose. We need to do lots of setup with our props. You'll need almost everything that you've gathered. Start with your blocks. I've got 3 blocks, so I'm going to use all 3, but I'll show you some variations in case you don't have 3 available. So if you have 3 like I do, I'd like for you to put one on the high side. This will be the end where you'd like your head to go. One on the middle side, and one on the low side. So set right next to each other, almost like a stair step. So that's the setup if you have 3 blocks. If you only have 2 blocks, take one of the blocks away and set up your blocks so that they look like that, more like an L. One's on the low side and one's on the high side. If you only have 1 block, your whole pose is going to be a bit lower today. And if you've only got 1 block, then you just put the block on the low side, up where your head would be. You could even do this without any blocks at all if you want to prop up pillows on kind of an angle. I think once you get down into the posture, once you have all the rest of the pieces set up, you'll be able to decide what makes the most sense for what you have available in your space. Okay, once you have the blocks set up in the way you think might be right for you, put your bolster on top or pile up your pillows. The game here is to have your head at the highest point of this posture. Place your folded blanket on top of that, or if you're using a small pillow, that could work here too. I know that because this is quite a high setup for me that I need these extra little cushions. I'm going to apply those right now. Maybe if you're up in a high position, you'll use extra blankets or something that you can rest your elbows on there if you like. Then you can take your rolled up blankets and place those blankets one to either side of your bolster setup. If you think you might like something to cover your body, you could have that nearby as well. Okay, to come into this pose, scoot yourself all the way back so that the back of your body is touching the bolster or touching your pillows. And bend your knees so your feet are flat on the floor. Join the inner edges of your feet together. And then slide your blankets into your legs so that your blankets are touching from your ankles all the way up to your thighs. Now once you have those blankets really cozied in, let your knees drop out to the sides. You remember the very beginning of our practice today, I offered you that feeling like you're giving someone a hug. This should be exactly how your legs feel, not stretched, just open. It's a good place to apply a blanket if you think you might want that for your front of your pelvis or for your belly. You could bring that blanket into place here. As you lie back, hold on to the bolster, hold on to your pillows so they don't slide, and recline back against the support. You can nuzzle this blanket in around your ears, make your whole body feel like it's really cozy here. You can pull the blankets or extra pillows under your elbows, and then let your hands rest on your belly or on the front of your thighs. If you put your arms all the way down to the floor here, it's not that that's against the rules. If this feels really nice for your body to be this open, you should absolutely do that. With that one small caveat that if you start to feel stretch across the front of your chest, or if you start to feel any kind of ache or drama in your shoulders, then you tuck your hands back in. Make any little adjustments or wiggles. Create the most comfortable space you can make for your body in this shape. And close your eyes. Notice how different your breath feels in this position. Instead of having the breath just moving to one side of your ribs, the whole front of your body is open and available for breath. You don't need to push or force at the breath in any way. Just notice the pathway the breath takes as a result of the shape that you've placed your body in. With every inhalation, can you feel the sense of expansion in the front of your body? And with every exhalation, can you feel a softening and a settling into the support of your props? You can continue to have your mind settled into the rhythm of your breath. Or if it feels like a more restorative practice when your mind is free, you can let your mind go wherever it wants to go. Just remembering the breath is available anytime your mind needs to land. We'll practice this pose in the quiet for some minutes. attention back from wherever your mind might have been. Notice your breath. Notice the feeling of the props against your body. Moving slowly, slide your hands to the outside of your thighs and use your hands to help pull your knees in. Reposition the soles of your feet flat onto the floor. Use your hands now to slide the props out from either side of your body. Remember, you're propped up kind of high here, so again, go carefully. Roll yourself down to whichever side you prefer. Tuck your chin in and pull your knees in. Take a breath across your back. Then use the support of your hands. Press your arms into the floor to guide your body back up into your seated position. Feel the impact of that pose you've just practiced. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. For our last pose of practice today, we're going to just use all of the blankets. And clear your mat. Set your bolster or your pillows off to the side. Move your blocks out of the way. Move any of the extra things that you had gathered up away from your space. Then take those two rolled up blankets and put them next to one another on your yoga mat. And it's okay if they're a little bit squashed. In fact, that might feel nice for your back if they're a little bit flatter than when you started. Then whatever you're using to support your head, put that at the end of your rolls. You might also decide that you want to have a blanket to cover your body, and that's nice too. Start this one by sitting on the end of the rolled up blankets. And then when you lie back so that your back is supported by the rolls and your head is supported by that folded blanket that you made for yourself. So you're kind of perched up a little bit, but your whole back is supported by blankets, including your head and your neck. Then it's a good place to put the blanket on top of your body if you think you might want that for the weight or for the warmth. For this one, let your arms fall down and out to the sides. And if your palms turn up, that's great. If it feels more comfortable to have your hands resting on the little finger side, that's great too. You know, play around and wiggle a little bit so that you can find the just right position to land. You might also play around with stepping your feet out a little wider and letting your knees drop in towards one another. Take your time getting really settled. It should feel like your body is lying on something cushioned, but that there's also this sense of lift. Almost as if your arms get to drop away from your sides and from your chest. Feel the way the breath moves through the front of your body. Can you feel that sense of expansion on your breath in? And with each exhalation, soften whatever you can soften. We'll practice this pose in the silence for some minutes. attention back once again. Notice your breath. Notice the sensations of your body against your props. Take your time to roll over off of your blankets and onto your side. Tuck your chin in and pull your knees in. Breathe across your back. And then use the support of your hands and your arms. Push your body up into your seated position. Take an extra moment to sit well. Add any props, maybe a blanket for under your seat, so that you can sit with a tall spine. Let your hands rest in your lap or palms down on your thighs. Can you notice the echo of where the props had been under you? Without forcing your posture, just sit a little taller. The sense of opening across the front of your chest. Feel the impact of this whole practice today. Can you breathe more easily now than when we began? Rejoin your palms together and lift them in front of your heart. When we sing together the sound of Om, we share individual energy of both intention and gratitude. And we sing this sound as a mark of honor for this entire practice of yoga. Please sing with me, or of course, you could just listen. Exhale your breath all the way out. Inhale deeply. With a wish for peace in all of its forms for all beings everywhere. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. Peace, peace,